Is it better to work in a mindless job and make money, or is it better to follow your passion and possibly make less money?
I definitely think the best thing to do is work at a job that you're passionate about and make a lot of money. That's the best thing to do. I do know that one. That's not always possible. And here's something you got to be careful of. Have you ever heard people talk about making your hobby your job, right? Yeah. And generally that's like, if I make my hobby my job, then I'll enjoy my job, right? There's another way of looking at it. If you make your hobby your job, you won't like your hobby anymore. Yeah. That's another way of looking at that. So it depends on what kind of, like a jiu-jitsu instructor, right? Hey, I'll just open my own school and then I'll just get to do what I love all day long. Yeah. You talk to a lot of jiu-jitsu instructors after 6 years, they don't even like going to the academy. They don't want to go to the academy anymore because it's all this, I don't want to teach another white belt how to do an arm lock. They're over it. So it's not necessarily the best thing to make what you're passionate about. And there's some people that teach jiu-jitsu every single day and they love it, and that's awesome. And so they've won, right? Because they're making money, they have a good livelihood, and they enjoy doing it. So but my goal would be to do something that I'm passionate about. At the same time, you got to set yourself up so that you're not stuck without any money, right? Because passion doesn't pay the rent. I'll tell you an example of this. Greg Train. Sure. Years ago, Greg Train said to me, hey, here's my options. I can like kind of scrape by, teach wrestling, teach some jiu-jitsu, and train to fight. Or I got accepted into this program to be an X-ray technician. Yep. And he asked me, he's like, what do you think I should do? This was a long time ago. It's probably like 10 or 12 years ago. Maybe even longer. Yeah. Anyways, he asked me and I said, listen, how many hours a day do you want to train? And I said, how many hours a day can you train? And he's like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 hours a day. Okay. So if you want to do this 3 or 4 hours a day, and you're not going to make any money, what are you going to do with the other, 20 hours a day? Yeah. You could actually build a career and make real money doing the X-ray thing, and then you could still easily, because you work 8 hours a day. I was like, Greg, I work 12 hours a day. I work 14 hours a day. I'm still here training. Mm-hmm. You can work an 8-hour day and still train, and you can train 4 hours a day. And you can be fine. And you'll have money. You won't have to worry about paying the rent. You'll be able to buy, nice things. You'll have medical insurance, all those things. Yeah. And he made the decision to go to X-ray school, and he ended up doing great in jiu-jitsu and doing great in fighting. And he ended up getting some injuries that were like, if he would have just been a fighter, they would have been really problematic because, he couldn't fight for a long time. That's the kind of judgment call. Yeah. Right? You can make. Now, what this question is saying, though, is can you do something where you make a little bit less, but you're passionate about it? That's pretty easy call as far as I'm concerned. If you just make a little bit less, but you love doing it, well, that's kind of a no-brainer. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Isn't it? Now, you got to ask yourself, where does that put you in the future? And then you got to ask yourself, on the other side, could you do this job that you don't really like for long enough that you could make a difference? Like you could do this job that you don't really like, and all of a sudden you got a down payment for a house, and then you go buy a house. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's not a bad move either. But you could also, this is where people trap themselves. They have the job that they don't like. They're making a little bit more money, and instead of investing towards getting out of that job and setting themselves up so where they can do something that they are passionate about, what they do is they expand their lifestyle. Yeah. That's the big mistake. Yeah. They expand their lifestyle, and all of a sudden, they're making $100,000 a year at this job that they don't really like. The other job, they were going to get $75,000 a year. And that's not bad, right? I would probably go for the thing that I really like doing. If it's a difference of $25,000, that's kind of a no-brainer to me. Mm-hmm. What does the person do? They say, okay, well, I'll just stay in this job so I can make enough money to get a down payment on a house. And then what do? They buy a new car. Yeah. They go out to dinner every night. They spend that extra $25,000 that they could be putting into saving up for down payment. They spend it on stuff that they don't need. They end up with $110,000 lifestyle while they're making $100,000 a year, and they actually go into debt, and now they're further away from the job that they wanted.
Yeah.
So I guess the answer here is, and I've said this before, come up with an exit strategy with contingencies if things go wrong, and then plan, save, prepare, and then execute.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Sounds like a good plan. Good take on it. That's what it sounds like. I found that when you make your hobby your career, a lot of times, like when you have fantasies about doing your hobby as a career, let's say I'm a photographer, right? That's a big one. That's a common one that I've heard. They'll be like, okay, because I like taking pictures. I like, I don't know, maybe traveling or I don't know, whatever I like taking pictures of. I like that kind of subject too. But so a lot of things when you're, a creative person or you're into, let's say you make baskets, right? You make the awesome baskets. But to make it your career, a lot of the times it comes with like 50%, if not 100%, additional chores and tasks by running that business.
Yeah, I was going to say, you like making baskets? Oh, yeah, cool. And what you end up doing is making thousands of the same baskets that they're going to put their green with the Easter bunny in it, and that's what your job is, to weave that basket over and over again. Everything that you're doing it for is now gone.
Yeah, and guess what? You have to do it now.
And you have to do it.
You have to. Like, as a hobby, that's kind of, in my opinion, pretty much one of the two things that make a hobby so great is because it's fun to do and you do it whenever you want. As long as you have the time, as long as you do it whenever you want. If you don't feel like doing it, you don't do it. Like if you don't feel like golfing tomorrow, are you gonna go?
I don't feel like golfing tomorrow.
I know. Are you gonna go?
No, I'm not.
Oh no, you don't. Yeah, of course not. You don't have to. But if you love making baskets and you don't feel like it, and you're like, hey, guess what? You got to make 1,000 of those. I know you don't feel like even making one. You got to make 1,000 now, or make sure they're done, or something. Then you're like, man, I used to love this thing. Now I don't really like it because all this pressure, which had nothing to do with my hobby, by the way, nothing. Now it has everything to do with my hobby. Now I have people calling me saying, hey, where's my basket? Hey, I'm the basket maker. I say when the basket gets made, kind of thing. That's gone. Yeah. So you don't really like it, and so you got the repetitiveness, the like. We call
lack of control,
the pressure, and then that's not to mention like the day-to-day chores that allow your hobby activity to be a business or career or whatever. Man, it's a lot. Like freaking taxes. Oh man,
taxes.
Doing all that. Yeah, man. You know how like when you work at like a job and the taxes are just taken out. The taxes are taken out and all this stuff. But man, you're weaving baskets. In your new garage or whatever, man, you got to do your taxes, all this. I don't know, man. There's just a lot more to it when you switch over from hobby to career.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's going to be
my shout out to my tax guy, Brandon. He rocks so hard.
I know, man.
He's the best guy ever.
Yeah, I can dig it. But yeah, so there's that. And then, but yeah, if you're prepared for that though, if you're totally prepared for that, or if you kind of like business, that part of it, because there's a lot of chores in business. Yeah. And if you like that stuff, oh man, that can be good. But yeah. And here's the thing too about when you get a good job, or not a good job, but a high paying job, but you don't like it. This is what I think anyway. I don't think I've ever had a junk job that paid a lot.
You just had junk low paying jobs.
Yes. I had a few of those. Yes, for sure. I wake up, I go to my job, drag myself to my job. Right, drag myself, and then I can't wait to get home. I get home, I get that paycheck after a week, 2 weeks, or whatever. I get that huge paycheck, and then I gotta drag myself to my job again. And I go home, and I can So basically, your day to day for that junk job is so junk. I need something. I need pleasure. I need some kind of pleasure in my life. Let me buy that cool new car. So now, I'll drag myself to my job, but at least I'm rolling in that nice new car.
Yeah. But eventually you trap yourself with that car. Exactly, that car's a trap.
Because that becomes the focus a lot of the times.
Yeah. You're trying to make up. And I believe, so this is an interesting thing I've thought about. People like to make things. People like to make things. Like it's a good feeling to make something, to create something. And I think a lot of the consumer attitude comes from the fact that, look, I don't have time to go and build a desk. And I wish I did have time to go build a desk, but I'll just go click on this button and the desk will show up at my house. And it's kind of like I created something.
Yeah. Voila, there it is.
Yeah, voila, there it is. And that gives you that. But the thing is, it's a short-term gratification.
Yeah, that's why it keeps going.
Yeah, and that's why it keeps going, because you go, okay, I'd really like to make a desk, but I'm just going to buy this one. Or I'd really like to, you know what I'd love to do is just completely refurbish an old car. Oh, I can't do that, but guess what? I can just buy a new car, and then I'm rolling. It feels good for a minute, but you don't get the deep satisfaction that you would have gotten had you refurbished the car.
Yeah.
So you trap yourself. So keep your spending in check. This is another part of this whole deal. Keep the spending in check.
But that spending feels so good. And then, you know how, like, when you have...
It depends. Because there's sometimes when you don't have a lot of money, spending hurts. You know? It hurts when you're like, I can't separate myself from this money.
Yeah, and you have a different mindset, I think. But I think, like, your average person, me included, is like... The spending hurts when you spend on stuff you need rather than what you like want. You know what I'm saying?
That's so backwards.
I'm saying,
dude.
oh yeah, it is.
That's so backwards.
Oh, big time. But it's a short term thing for sure. It's like the immediate like satisfaction is like when you gotta pay. Let's say you don't really have dental insurance, right? Or let's say you do, but you still gotta pay out about whatever. You gotta spend your money on that.
Yeah.
Let's say it's $1,000 and you have $1,500 in your bank account. We'll say.
So it doesn't feel good to spend on dental, but it would have felt good to buy a new plasma screen TV that you could watch the UFC on.
Think about it, bro. When that plasma TV comes in, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to hook this up. This thing is awesome. I'll even put it on my credit card and pay for that thing
over the next 12 months.
Yeah, 50% interest on this thing. I'll do that, no problem, because of that pleasure of getting it. But dental, you mean this toothache will go away? This toothache that's causing me a migraine will go away, and then I got then when it's time to pay that bill, you're like, it's hard, man. You don't really want it. It's weird. Check. Yeah, it is backwards. So.
All right. Well, like I said, come up with a plan, come up with an exit strategy with contingencies, and then save your money and execute. Get some. Check.